Vladimir Vladimirovich Putin. A name known around the world. He is the man who has led Russia for more than 2 decades. Some see him as a strong leader who brought order after chaos. Others see him as an authoritarian who silenced opponents and launched wars. This is the story of his life. From a poor childhood in Soviet Leningrad to the Kremlin, and into history as one of the most powerful and controversial figures of our time. Putin was born on October 7, 1952, in Leningrad, now called Saint Petersburg. He was the youngest of 3 children, but only he survived to adulthood. His parents lived through the horrors of the Second World War. His father fought and was badly wounded during the siege of Leningrad. His mother almost starved. The family lived in a small communal apartment with several neighbors. There was no hot water. Rats were common. Life was tough. As a boy, Vladimir was small, restless, and often got into fights. To protect himself, he started training in martial arts. He practiced sambo, a Soviet combat sport, and judo. Later, he became a black belt. From an early age, Putin dreamed of adventure. He wanted to be a spy. At just 16, he walked into the KGB office and asked how he could join. The officers told him, first, study law. So he enrolled at Leningrad State University, where he studied law and graduated in 1975. One of his professors, Anatoly Sobchak, would later play an important role in Putin's rise to power. After graduation, Putin achieved his dream. He joined the KGB, the Soviet Union's secret police and intelligence agency. He worked there for 15 years. In the mid-1980s, he was sent abroad, to Dresden in East Germany. There, he worked as an intelligence officer. His job included recruiting informants and gathering political and economic information. Putin rose to the rank of lieutenant colonel. But when the Soviet Union began to collapse in 1991, he left the KGB and returned to Leningrad. In Moscow, Putin joined the administration of President Boris Yeltsin. He moved quickly up the ranks. In 1998, he became head of the FSB, the successor to the KGB. A year later, he was appointed prime minister. In August 1999, bombings in Russia killed hundreds of people. The government blamed Chechen militants. Putin took a hard line, promising revenge. His tough stance made him popular with many Russians. On December 31, 1999, Boris Yeltsin suddenly resigned. By law, the prime minister became acting president. That meant Vladimir Putin was now the leader of Russia. In March 2000, Putin was officially elected president. He promised to bring stability after the chaos of the 1990s. Under his rule, the economy began to grow. Higher oil prices gave Russia wealth. Millions of Russians felt life improve. But democracy weakened. Independent TV channels were taken over. Businessmen who opposed him lost their companies or fled abroad. Critics were silenced. Putin was re-elected in 2004 with a large majority. During these years, Putin began to build his public image. He wanted Russians to see him as strong, fearless, and active. State media showed him riding horses bare-chested, flying fighter jets, or diving into the sea. He practiced judo in public. This became part of his superhero image. The Russian constitution allowed only 2 presidential terms in a row. So in 2008, Putin stepped aside. His ally, Dmitry Medvedev, became president. But Putin remained prime minister, and many believed he still held the real power. In 2012, Putin returned to the presidency. This time, protests broke out. Many people believed the elections were unfair. Police cracked down. In 2014, Russia shocked the world by annexing Crimea from Ukraine. This move was condemned by most countries, but inside Russia, it boosted Putin's popularity. In 2015, Putin intervened in the Syrian civil war, supporting President Bashar al-Assad. Russian jets bombed rebel forces, changing the course of the war. Over the years, Putin became more authoritarian. Opposition leaders were harassed, jailed, or even killed. Independent media was shut down. Protests were banned or broken up by police. In 2018, Putin was re-elected again. In 2020, the constitution was changed, allowing him to potentially stay in power until 2036. In February 2022, Putin launched a full-scale invasion of Ukraine. He said it was to protect Russia and stop NATO expansion. But the world saw it as aggression. Sanctions were placed on Russia. Tens of thousands of soldiers and civilians were killed. The war continues to shape his legacy. Putin has now ruled Russia for more than 25 years, longer than any leader since Joseph Stalin. To his supporters, he restored national pride and stability. To his critics, he destroyed democracy and brought war to Europe. At 72 years old, he shows no clear sign of stepping down. With the constitution rewritten, he could remain in power into the 2030s. His story is not yet finished. But already, he has secured a place in history as one of the most influential and divisive leaders of the modern world.